can't exactly call myself an avid fisherman. I've fished with a cane pole, with a fishing pole, just with a string. Catfish, bass, brim. I had to go in the shed and get my daughter's fishing pole, which I think we used one time in this very location, actually. Caught some kind of alligator or something that I'd never seen before. But I don't even have a hook. I have my daughter's keychain on here. So that's why I have a pink fishing pole. But there's a man in the Bible who was not just an avid fisherman, he fished for a living, and his name was Peter. I want to read to you Luke chapter 5, verses 1 through 11, and talk to you for just a few minutes on this quote and title, Launch Out into the Deep. We're going to talk about the miracle catch on the Sea of Galilee. Luke chapter 5, verse 1, and it came to pass that as the people pressed upon him to hear the word of God, he stood by the lake of Gennesaret and saw two ships standing by the lake, but the fishermen were gone out of them and were washing their nets. And he entered into one of the ships, which was Simon's, that's Peter, and prayed him or asked him that he would thrust out a little from the land. And he sat down and taught the people out of the ship. He didn't ask for much. Could you just go a little ways? And he sat down and just used it as a podium where he could sit and talk and teach the people. Verse 4, now when he had left speaking, when he was done with his sermon, he said unto Simon, launch out into the deep. Initially he just said, go out a little from the land. Now he says, launch out into the deep. And he said, let down your nets for a draught. Let down your nets for a big catch. And Simon answering said unto him, Master, we have toiled all night. We have been fishing all night long and have taken nothing. We've caught nothing. Nevertheless, at thy word, I will let down the net. And when he had done this, they enclosed a great multitude of fishes, and their net brake. And they beckoned unto their partners, which were in the other ship, that they should come and help them. And they came and filled both the ships, so that they began to sink. So many fish, it filled 2 boats, and the boats were beginning to sink. When Simon Peter saw it, so this is a lot of time that has passed. They've launched out into the deep, they've caught all these fish, they filled 2 boats. When Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, depart from me, for I am a sinful man, O Lord. For he was astonished, and all that were with him, at the draught of fishes which had been taken. This is a commercial fisherman. He's been fishing all of his life. Surely he had had good days on the water, but he had never seen a catch like this. And so also was James and John, the sons of Zebedee, which were partners with Simon. In other words, they were astonished as well. They had never seen anything like this. And Jesus said unto Simon, fear not. From henceforth, from this point on, you will catch men. And when they had brought their ships to land, they forsook all, including these 2 boatloads of fish. They forsook all and followed Jesus. I have 5 simple things for you from this passage, things that are very applicable to your life and to mine. Number 1, in this story, I see the failure of Peter and his friends. Do you think this was an accident? Do you think this was just incidental, that they didn't catch anything that night? Or did God make sure that no fish swam into their net that night, just to accentuate the uniqueness of this miracle? So we have the failure of Peter and his friends at something they were supposed to be very good at. Then number 2, we have the fish, which are not the focus. Certainly the miracle is that Jesus, a carpenter, can just speak a word, and because of what he has said, all these fish swim right into the net of these fishermen. That's amazing. But this is not why we have this story in the New Testament. The focus is not actually on the fish. In fact, at the end of the story, the fish are still there. Jesus and Peter, James, John, Andrew, they walk off. So the fish are not the focus. Number 3, we see the fear of the fishermen, Peter, and the other fishermen as well, which doesn't even make sense at face value. Why is he afraid? I mean, this should be awesome. Wouldn't he say, hey, Jesus, I'm going fishing again tomorrow night, and I want you to come with me, right? But he recognized, based upon what Jesus had just taught, I'm sure, he had heard the sermon that Jesus had preached. He recognized, I'm not worthy of this man's presence. He said, I'm a sinful man. He wasn't afraid because there were so many fish in the boat. He wasn't afraid they were going to sink. He was afraid because he recognized his guilt. He felt his guilt in the presence of the living Lord. So we have the fear of the fisherman. Number 4, we have the forsaking of a fortune. Whatever assets Peter had as a fisherman, they were right there. And it was probably the peak, of his business. He was at the peak of his career now on this day, the best day ever that he's had in his business. But he forsakes his fortune. For number 5, we have the following that results from faith. There's something that struck me today as I was coming to this location to film this Bible lesson. If your faith is not strong enough to actually cause you to follow Christ, to sincerely follow Christ, to be his disciple, what makes you think your faith is sincere enough that it will save your soul and that it will take you to heaven? Jesus didn't just say, Peter, believe that I am the Messiah. That's part of it, there's no doubt. But he said, Peter, follow me. And he forsook all. He forsook all and followed him. He didn't strike a deal. I tell you what, I can sell all these fish. You come out here every now and then, I can make a lot of money, and we can take the world with all this money I'll make as a fisherman. No. He forsook all, and he became a fisherman fishing for men, catching souls. And we know, of course, that the first time he really fished for souls, he really caught a bunch. 3,000 were saved on the day of Pentecost. I want to close with the lyrics to this great hymn. The title of the hymn is Wherever He Leads, I'll Go. Ask yourself if these are your sentiments, if this is your sentiment. Take up thy cross and follow me, I heard my master say. I gave my life to ransom thee. Surrender your all today. He drew me closer to his side and sought his will to know. He drew me closer to his side. I sought his will to know. And in that will I now abide. Wherever he leads, I'll go. My heart, my life, my all I bring to Christ who loves me so. He is my master, Lord, and King. And wherever he leads, I'll go. And then the chorus, wherever he leads, I'll go. Wherever he leads, I'll go. I'll follow the Christ who loves me so. Wherever he leads, I'll go. God's not looking for you to make a deal with him. He's looking for you to follow him.